Tip number 52 from the book 501 Contractor Tips. Have enough insurance coverage. Make sure that you have enough liability insurance. That's a biggie. Liability insurance. That protects you from business problems or problems from construction defects in some way or another, whether it was your fault or the manufacturer's fault. You're not going to need as much insurance if you're doing small home repairs as you will if you're building large hotels. So that's all relative. You know, if you're going to be fixing sprinklers, and the worst thing that could possibly happen is one of these sprinklers comes on and causes a little bit of erosion problem and could be fixed in less than an hour. That's not a big thing. You're not going to need as much liability insurance for something like that as you would if you were building 30 homes at a time or a large Hilton hotel. You know, it's all relative here to what you're doing. Don't let your insurance agent talk you into a larger policy if you don't need it. And that's another thing too. I usually had $1 million liability policy because I couldn't see needing any more than that. That was a lot of money, and I was doing small jobs. You know, even some of these larger jobs I did would have fell well underneath the umbrella of something like that unless there was a, and again, I can't say. I mean, let's face it, there is a breaking point to this. If you have $1 million worth of liability insurance and someone is injured or 50 people get injured and they're suing you for $700 million or even $2 million, and all your insurance company is going to pay is $1 million, but you got to come up with another $1 million, you're gone. This is just the way, this is kind of like rolling the dice, you know, so it's a tough thing for liability insurance to figure out exactly how much you need because you can't see the future. And at the same time, if you're paying right now $5,000 a year for liability insurance for $1 million, and it's going to cost you $7,000, but you can't afford it, your business does not support this kind of an additional expense like this, then you're going to need to be business savvy here and kind of figure, wait, okay, then I'm going to have to be a little more careful. I'm going to have to spend more time making sure that I don't make any mistakes on my job site. Or try and figure out ways to make more money to where you can have that additional coverage. Now, along with liability insurance, my family went without health insurance for years because I couldn't afford that. I couldn't afford it, you know. And then there was one time when I think I was covered for $30,000. That was my cap on my auto insurance. And something happened to where we were involved in a lawsuit, and it was a lot more than $30,000. Luckily, the guy who started the lawsuit lied about everything, and the case got thrown out of court. But it did open my eyes. And again, this is why I'm telling you this. It opened my eyes and made me think just how much insurance is enough. And that's a hard question to answer. That's why I'm not giving you a fixed price here. Tip number 52 just says to have enough insurance coverage, because I don't know what's going to be enough for you today might not be enough for you in the future. And what's enough for you today might not even be close to someone else who's doing another type of business, or it might be more than someone else needs doing another type of business. So it's really relevant to the kind of business you're doing, what you're doing. But I'm not just talking about liability insurance here. I'm talking about any type of insurance that you have. You've got to make sure you have enough of it. A lot of people will actually have a life insurance policy. If you're that's your construction business, it operates under your construction license. And if something happens to you, that business is gone, and you have 200 employees, then you really didn't think this thing through enough. And this is kind of what I'm talking about here. You might need life insurance just as well as liability insurance to protect your family, your children, or your business. So I can't say it enough, but I'm going to say it again. What the heck? Repetition is the best way to learn. You can say it with me even. You've got to have enough insurance. You cannot be underinsured. And I've been there plenty of times. I mean, it's more times than I would be willing to realistically to want to admit. You know, I've been underinsured for quite some time because I didn't have the money or the means. And this book right here, like I said, after 30 years of being in the business, if I didn't have the means, I shouldn't have been in business realistically after 5 years, you know. So life insurance, liability insurance, health insurance, auto insurance, make sure that you're covered.